Hello, everybody. My name is Mary Howard Leppo, and I am an integrative nutrition, perimenopause, and menopausal health coach. But I also help people with other things as time and space permits. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the weird symptoms that sometimes comes up during perimenopause and menopause that aren't always talked about. And we talk about hot flashes all the time. We talk about brain fog. We talk about weight gain. There's a whole host of other things that can happen during this time as well. And they happen for different reasons. Sometimes, it's, the fluctuating in the hormones. Sometimes just, at this age, because of all of that, we're more susceptible to other things and they present in different ways. So I wanted to go over some of those just so that you know that if you encounter them, you are not alone and it is all part of the bigger picture. So the first thing I want to talk about is smells. So sometimes, just like during pregnancy, where we might have more heightened, more developed awareness of different smells sometimes during pregnancy will hit us a little bit harder than maybe they would when we're not pregnant. So sometimes we can get that back during perimenopause and menopause as well. We're just certain things that we smell just no longer do it for us, or just, maybe they trigger, a headache or something like that. So just know that is normal. Now, there's also the smells that might come from us. Sometimes our own smell changes during this time. So what I encounter the most with clients and colleagues is changes in smell in the vaginal area, changes in smell of the urine, changes in smell around the armpits, and then just changes in smell around overall body odor and your sweat. So for me personally, I have experienced differences with overall sweat and well as armpit, and I was able to track that to a certain spice palette. So I love the Mexican spice palette. I love that Tex-Mex. I love that garlic. I love the onion. I love all those things. But if I eat a lot of that in succession, so for example, if I were to have that for dinner and then I took leftovers home for lunch the next day, and then I get up the next morning and I make myself an omelet with salsa on it, and then have that leftover dinner for lunch, and then maybe go out again and have something similar, that spice palette again for dinner, I can expect that change in smell, morely like the garlic and onions, to come out into my body sweat and armpit sweat. For other women, it might be different things. Maybe your microbiome is off, for example. And so maybe a probiotic that also deals with vaginal health, vaginal microbiome is something that you need. So just different things to consider. If you're experiencing that, just kind of make a note. What did I eat today? What did I do today? Do I notice a change when I eat this versus when I don't eat that, or when I eat something like over and over again for several meals? So I still eat my Mexican food. I just got back from Texas. I love that palate, but I did not have that for every single meal because I know that causes that. Okay, so there's that. So weird smells. Don't forget to take care of your teeth. So we know that as estrogen declines, we are at a higher risk for osteopenia, osteoporosis, those kinds of things. Your teeth are what? They're a bone. So we should expect same kind of things around our teeth. So take care of your teeth. Make sure you're brushing at least twice a day. Make sure you're flossing. Make sure you're flossing well. Have your dental hygienist teach you how to floss if you're not really sure. You can do mouthwash. I personally like oil pulling. So I do that with coconut oil in the morning for about 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm doing that while I'm doing other things. I'm not just standing around waiting for the oil pulling or anything like that. I'm busy like everybody else. Got to multitask. So I do that. And I also scrape my tongue in the morning as well. That just helps with overall breath, oral health, all the things. And then I do see my dentist twice a year, so every 6 months for a good cleaning. And I pay extra because my insurance won't pay for it, but I know the benefits, so I pay extra. It's about like $25 or so to have an extra fluoride treatment put all over my teeth, not just the back ones, but everywhere, front, on top, back, all that kind of stuff. Um, so really, really take care of your teeth. Make sure you're eating a nutrient-rich diet that will also support oral health. And if you can, reduce those soft drinks because the ingredients in that do help leach those essential minerals from your bones. So not just from the bones, but the teeth as well. So take care of your teeth. And then maybe some weird stress responses. So sometimes when I'm really stressed out or I'm kind of getting hit like I was last Monday with like a set of three and bad news. So that might be, something was going on with a family member earlier in the day, and then I got bad news about another family member in the middle of the day, and then I got bad news about a friend really quickly after that. So I didn't have time to process the first thing before the other two things came in on top of everything else, your job and, running your home and maybe taking care of aging parents or, all of those things. So my weird stress response where I will get an inflammatory reaction in my eye. So it'll look like an allergic reaction, gets puffy, that sort of thing. Can't wear my contacts. Looks ugly. I'll just say that looks ugly. Mainly in my left eye, but sometimes my right eye as well. So that's a weird stress response for me. Some of us find weird stress responses like, we'll break out in a rash or hives, and then they just go away. Some people, if you're going through prolonged stress, it won't just be like, well, I got bad news today, so now my hair is falling out. It won't quite, happen quite that quickly. But the stress on the body that we're trying to do from going through the change, plus everything else that we're going through, and then putting, other things on top of that can cause hair to fall out. So obviously that's not the only reason hair falls out during peri, but it can contribute to that. For example, I lost 15% of my hair the first time I got COVID. A couple weeks after I recovered, it just kind of started falling out in the shower and in the brush and everything. And that was because my body went through a very stressful situation with COVID, and I ended up along COVID. So just weird stress responses can happen. And then other things that can happen, you may have had wonderful liver enzyme levels and cholesterol up until this point, and now suddenly it's high. Suddenly they're high, and you're not really sure. There are reasons behind that. I'll talk about that in a future video. But just know that can be connected to changes in the hormones and with the body. Joint aches and pains. When our estrogen declines, sometimes our joint aches and pains also increase. And when we level out that estrogen, sometimes that makes that go away. So that can certainly be an issue that you may be having. And also intolerance to loud noise or just, the volume of things. So I thought coming out of like the great lockdown of 2020 and everything, my sudden intolerance to, loud volume, loud music, loud noise with some just kind of weird trauma response coming out of the pandemic. And that could still be a thing, trauma affects people differently. But I think too, it also had to play into my hormones. So when I do all these studies and talking to people, a lot of women have noticed that happening to them as well. So I do not really go to concerts anymore. If I do, I sit far away back. I've got earplugs in just because it's really overwhelming. I don't like loud music in the car anymore, at parties, that sort of thing. So just know that these are real symptoms. They're weird. They're not often talked about. But they're there and they're worth talking about. So I just wanted to do this little video. There's over 100 symptoms. These are just a few, just so that you know that you are not alone. You're not crazy. If you're starting to notice these things pop up as well, if you would like to talk about them more, or if you know a weird symptom that you've started to have, feel free to comment below. Feel free to reach out to me. I would love to hear from you. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thank you so much.